What's good YouTube? Prince here, back with another video. Today's Tekken video, why you should not pay for coaching. Alright, now there are some circumstances where I think it's actually okay to pay for coaching in a game like Tekken 8, but the majority of the time I'm just going to be talking about why I think you guys shouldn't be paying for coaching in a game like Tekken 8, and I'll probably go over 3 criteria where I do think it's actually acceptable to be paying for coaching, but I'm also going to follow it up with like a little extra dialogue. But first things first, the main reason I don't think you guys should be paying for coaching in a game like Tekken 8 is that there's just a lot of free content for you guys to consume that can pretty much deepen your understanding and knowledge of the game. Like, there's so much free content over the internet on like character guides, how to play a character, what are this character's key moves, guides on how to fight certain characters, anti-punishment guides for fighting specific characters like, Alyssa, King, Brian, Claudio, all that type of stuff. There's so much content that you guys can consume, and me personally, as someone that actually coaches people for free, I've never charged anybody any money for coaching. I'm just gonna keep it real with you guys. Like, there is no agenda behind this video. I was actually gonna drop a how to punish or anti Alyssa or Lily video today, but I decided to drop this video instead. And mainly when I do coach people, most of the time they're losing these matches. They all have 9 out of 10 times it's the same thing. Like, they all have something in common. Most of the time people are losing in these matches when it comes to like intermediate level Tekken, maybe like say around like Mighty Ruler to like Tekken King. Most people are losing because they just don't understand the matchup. They don't have matchup knowledge, and they're getting knowledge checked to death by strings of like maybe the more unpopular characters that you don't really come across too much, like bears. Like, there's a specific reason why the less played characters have like a higher win rate, not because those characters are essentially stronger than the rest of the cast, but mainly because people are more so unfamiliar with the knowledge checks that come across those characters. And the thing is, the replay system in this game is like so well constructed. Like, it can tell you what moves you didn't punish, it can tell you the proper punishment for a move, it can tell you strings that you can duck underneath and stuff like that. Now, I know it's limited in the sense that it's not going to tell you, hey, you can sidestep this move, or hey, you can punch parry this move, or hey, this move has a gap in it where you could jab and do this. Like, for that, you actually are going to you're actually going to have to need to go into coaching, or more so look up an anti-guide. Or like, for instance, I actually did a video recently on why people hate Xiao Yu and how her mechanics of AOP work. And another reason why I think people shouldn't pay for coaching in a game like Tekken is there's a lot of misinformation constructed over the internet about so many characters, and the main culprit for why this happens is because a lot of Tekken players are unable to see the lens of Tekken outside of their main characters, right? You got people that main Mishimas, and they can't see the lens of Tekken outside of the perspective of something like a Kazuya, right? Or you got people that main, like, I don't know, what's a random character? Claudio, right? And their experience with Tekken, because they mostly main or play just 1 or 2 characters, they're unable to see from other people's perspectives, and certain characters have certain options. Not every character plays the same. Yes, there is a lot of talk about characters losing their identity and being able to do more than 1 or 2 things, but for the most part, a lot of characters have uniqueness in the point that they do certain things better than other characters, and they have options to moves that other characters don't have. And I think that's a big issue. Like, a lot of people, like, when I look at a lot of gameplay channels, most gameplay channels typically only main or play showcase gameplay for just 1 character. And for me personally, that's cool. Like, I think if you guys want to, like, if you're like a Steve player and you want to learn like some Steve tech and look at Steve stuff, you can go to Shinblade's channel, right, and just look at his content, consume that. He's got great gameplay on the content. If you're someone that's like a Lily player, you can go look up Glider, who plays and mains Lily, and you can look up Lily's specific setups. You can look up like Lily's specific combo routes and all that type of stuff. And there's so much free information you guys can consume for character combo guide routes, key moves, how to punish this character, and stuff like that. And there's just so much information. But then you guys gotta understand at the same time, there's so much misinformation, because you have a lot of people that don't know what they're talking about. And you got people that are also going to gaslight you, because I think this is probably the worst fighting game community from an online perspective. And you're lucky if you can find like any type of content creator or a small type of community that will not try and gaslight you or not lie to you about your face about certain things, because a lot of people because they main these certain characters, they come off emotional, and like if you say anything to critique their character, they take it as a personal attack, right? And I'm gonna actually go into practice mode and show you guys something because I don't want this video to be too long. Now I'm just gonna talk about the 3 times where I think it's okay to pay for coaching. It's under only these 3 criterias. Like the first criteria is if you are someone that's considering going pro, then it is 100% okay for you to be paying for coaching. I completely understand that perspective because you're gonna be probably in this game for the long run, and you're gonna be trying to compete and get good, and hopefully you can get to the level of people like Fergus, Jod, Arslan Ash, Nee, or whatnot. But it's also going to be somewhat unlikely if you ever make it to their level. But I can understand it from the competitive aspect. Just make sure that if that is your goal and that you want to compete, please have like a 9 to 5, go to college, and please go to college for like a useful degree, not like one of these random made up degrees where like you did 4 years for it and you're unable to get some type of job off of it because the government's just trying to scam you. But don't make like Tekken like your main like source of income, right? Like, because if we're being real, these content creators make more money than most of these tournament players, right? Like, if I'm being honest, which is a good reason why most tournament players also do content on the side just to make money. And the second criteria for why I think for when it is okay to like pay for coaching is if you're just trying to reach a specific rank. Like, let's say you're just trying to reach Tekken King, and then you're gonna just hop off the game. You're good, right? Like, that's cool, right? That's cool because then you can just go in and out as long as, and this is all under the assumption that you guys are paying reasonable price for the coaching sessions. And then the third criteria where I think it's okay to pay for coaching is like if you're in a scenario where you've been playing Tekken for an extremely long time, like let's say you've been playing since Tekken 6 and you're just extremely stagnant and you don't know what to do or what else you could do to improve, and there's not much videos that cover your problem, then you can pay for coaching, right? But now that we got that out of the way, I want to talk about other reasons why I think people should like vet the type of person they're coaching, because there's a lot of people that do coaching content now, and it's funny because like for fighting games, I didn't really hear of anybody coaching anybody until like the Street Fighter 5 era. I remember like there was like Justin Wong and Gutex, and they were charging money for coaching. Now, I can understand Justin, but like, no shade to Gutex. Like, Gutex is also charging money for like Street Fighter lessons or coaching, and he was charging more money than Justin Wong. And Justin Wong is a better player, more experienced, has more matchup knowledge, has more knowledge on the game in general. And the fact that he was charging more money than Justin Wong was actually crazy. So, if you guys are paying for coaching, please make sure you're not getting robbed, and make sure that the person you're coaching can do what I'm about to say, right? If you're getting coached in this game, make sure you're getting coached by someone that is, one, able to see the lens of Tekken outside of their character, right? We're going to showcase Asuka and Claudio as an example here. And if you were getting coached by someone that, let's say, mains Asuka, right? They know all her punishment, they know her 10 frame, they know her 12 frame punish, like they know her 13 frame punish, they know her 14 frame punish, 15 frame punish. That's cool and all, right? But let's say you're getting coaching from them, right? And you don't play Asuka, right? You play someone like Alyssa, right? And you submit a replay where you're fighting against a Claudio player, right? And the Claudio player is doing something like this, right? Right? And you're getting blown up by this, right? And they just tell you, oh, just parry this, just punch parry the second hit, right? You're getting blown up like this, and then you're pressing afterwards, right? And then boom, you're getting frame trapped into a mix, right? And they say, oh, all you gotta do is just block the first hit and punch parry the second hit. Now that's cool, right? That works for characters that have punch parries and stuff like that, right? But what if you're playing a matchup where your character doesn't have a punch parry, right? Now, like I said, this goes back to what I said at the beginning of the video, where a lot of people are unable to see Tekken a lot of people are unable to see Tekken through the lens of other characters outside of their main character, which is why I think a lot of people are not suited to be coaching in this game. Because if they told you to just punch parry the second hit of Claudio's down 1-2 when he has an install, that works for a lot of characters that do have punch parry. But what about Alyssa? Alyssa doesn't have a punch parry. Alyssa actually has a high parry. So if we're in the same scenario, Alyssa cannot punch parry because she does not have a punch parry. What does Alyssa have? Friends, if this is not a punch parry, what is it? I'll show you what it is. Whoops. This move is actually a high parry. It will parry any high, right? But it is not a punch parry. It does not have the same properties. So therefore, your coach would have to give you another solution that is actually tailored that can work for your character. What they should be telling you is block the first hit, sidestep, let the second hit launch, right? I'm really showing this basic example to show you guys that like how like your coaching should be going. They should be able to offer you solutions that not only work for you but are more so universal for most characters, and they should have a deep understanding of characters in this game to the point where they can see the lens of Tekken outside of just their main character. They could see it through the lens of Alyssa, they could see it through the lens of Kazuya, they could see it through the lens of any other character in the game, right? In a sense like that, right? And the problem with Tekken is like another reason I don't think people should be paying for coaching is there's so much misinformation in this game to the point where like if you're popular in a Tekken field and where it's for like let's say you're a popular Tekken content creator, a lot of newer players or less skilled players that don't really have that much experience or knowledge on the game, they take what a lot of these bigger content creators say as gospel, and that ends up creating like a toxic cycle where like for instance, right, like I'm not taking no shots at the main man here. Like I love the main man's content, right? But main man, it's very clear that him and like even the buff guy, they're very biased towards like Mishima's like Kazuya, right? So that can sometimes interfere with their way of thinking when it comes to other characters. Because like I think main man's a great content creator, but I wouldn't recommend main man to be the person to help you with waifu characters, right? We all know main man doesn't really like the waifu characters, right? He'd probably be able to give you great knowledge and info on what to do in a Kazuya matchup or against fellow Mishimas, but against like the waifu characters like Alyssa or Asuka or Xiaoyu, he probably is not going to be the most knowledgeable player in recommending an option for fighting against those characters because he's looking more so at it through the lens of Mishimas, especially with like buff guy and them. Like that's why I did a recent video on why people hate Xiaoyu and why people don't understand the mechanics. A lot of people, like for instance, the most popular misinformation that is spreaded across Tekken is that Xiaoyu ducks mids. No, Xiaoyu doesn't duck mids. She ducks mids that have a high hitbox, right? Down forward 4, back 1, down forward 4 has a high hitbox, right? It hits pretty much very similar to where her jab hits on the opponent, right? But this is something a lot of players are unaware of. So, right, they spread misinformation and stuff like that. And if you think if you're not really sure what I'm talking about, just go and look at my Why People Hate Xiaoyu video. I'll probably link it down in the comments below. But a lot of misinformation gets spread like that, and it causes the community to become toxic because now they're hating on another character and accusing that character of doing something that character doesn't actually do, right? And then people will scapegoat and be like, well, I'm only losing to Xiaoyu because she's broken and she ducks mids, but that's completely a false statement, right? And there's a lot of people that spread misinformation about this game, and it could really interfere with people getting better. So if you are someone that is interested in getting coached, whether you want to pay for the coaching or it's free coaching, please make sure that the person you're asking to get coaching from has a deep level of understanding of how the game actually works on a fundamental aspect and by a case-by-case character, so they are able to see the lens of the game through other characters' perspectives and not just their own character that they main. This is why I play pretty much the entire cast. I play a huge plethora of characters in this game, so I'm able to understand the lens of other characters and understand their weaknesses, their strengths. Other characters can do things better than other characters are able to, and that's like an important aspect of like being able to coach players. If your coach is unable to do something like that, do not ask for coaching from them. They are not fit to coach. A lot of there's Tekken content creators that do coaching, and I honestly think they're not suited for coaching. And another way I would say, like, if they're unable to see the game of Tekken outside the lens of their character and offer, good solutions for other characters, don't accept coaching from them. And if they are hard stuck at like Tekken Emperor or Tekken God, they are not fit to be coaching. Like I don't think anybody should be coaching if they're below the rank of God of Destruction or God of Destruction 1, or if they're unable to reach those ranks. Like you got guys like Speed Kicks that purposely stay at Brawler, not because that's his limit. He could easily reach God of Destruction 1 or 2, right? He just chooses not to. So make sure you're getting coached by someone that is either at those ranks and above, or is able to reach it if they truly wanted to. If you're watching someone and they're coaching and they main a specific character and they are unable to get their main to God of Destruction, or they're like pretty much like stagnating and like having too much of a hard time reaching those ranks, they're probably not at a level where they should be considering coaching if they're struggling that hard at rank. And I'm not trying to take any shots at anybody in the Tekken content sphere or community, but there are some content creators that do coaching. I'm not going to name any names, and they're hard stuck around Tekken Emperor or Tekken God. And me personally, I even looked at some of their God videos when they coach other players, and like I just don't agree with their method of coaching. So like I said, if you are going to take coaching in this game, please do your homework. Make sure it's someone that operates and understands the lens of Tekken from multiple characters and isn't just stuck to just one character. Make sure they actually know what they're talking about, because there's too many people spreading misinformation about the game and their character and other people's characters. 3, make sure that they're not hard stuck at like ranks that you're like, if you're trying to like reach like, let's say Tekken King, right? And the person you're getting coached from is like getting demoted from Emperor to Tekken King to Emperor to Tekken King. Maybe they might not be the best coach for you, right? Maybe you might want to go and find another creator or person like someone that I think that is a good coach is FDX, because he's able to understand the lens of Tekken outside of just his main character and understands it from other characters' perspectives and has a lot of matchup knowledge on the game, right? And is actually a good player at Tekken. Another coach I could recommend was someone like Blackheart. Blackheart has gotten every character to God of Destruction, so you know he's able to see the lens of the game outside of just his main character, Jun, right? Very similar to me. I was actually gonna do a video about getting every character to God of Destruction. I went on YouTube, I checked to make sure nobody's done that, and lo and behold, Blackheart already beat me to it. So shout out to Blackheart if you're watching this, right? So I think he would be a good coach, because when he's trying to tell you about, like, he even made a character difficulty tier list, and you can tell like someone making a character difficulty tier list like Blackheart would hold more weight than somebody like maybe Buff Guy doing the same thing, because Buff Guy doesn't play the majority of the cast and Blackheart does play the majority of the cast, right? So when it's coming from Blackheart, it's gonna hold more weight because he knows how what it's like to play as other characters and be that other character, right? He's not just operating it through the lens of what would I do if I was Jun? What would I do if I was Jun? What would I do if I was Jun? No, he's able to look at it as, okay, what would I do if I was Alyssa? What would I do if I was Kazuya? What would I do if I was Eddie? What would I do if I was Leroy? Those are people you want coaching from. You want people to coach you that can operate on other aspects of not just, oh, this is my main character, this is what I would do in that situation, right? And I'm going to show you an example of what I'm talking about here. We're going to use, before I end the video, we're going to use Lars. Actually, it doesn't even have to be Lars, right? It could be Law too, right? It could be like any character. We'll just use Leo as an example, and then we'll use Lee, right? I just want you guys to think more about like whether or not your money is worth being spent on coaching. If you are going to spend money on coaching, make sure you vet that person and they know what they're talking about, so they're not leading you astray or they're not feeding you misinformation, because there's too much misinformation on Tekken. So here's an example, right? All right. Now, I recorded these 3 sequences, right? So let's say someone's struggling against Lee, right? They're getting blown up by this, right? They're trying to take their turn because the low is -1 on hit when he goes into Hitman. And they're trying to take their turn and they're getting counter hit by this, right? Now, the best thing I would tell them, like, some coaches might say, like, oh, you can just down forward one check and boom, and you could beat any option that Lee does afterwards, right? And that is 100% true if you have a down forward one that has good recovery, right? Right, we'll turn on all the other options, right? Boom, 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 right? Just to show you it works against everything, right? Boom, 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 boom. See, that shut downs everything, right? But not every character is the same, actually. Leo has good recovery on her down forward one. Yes, Leo is a girl, by the way, for those that don't know. But if we were to take a character like Alyssa, right? Alyssa also would not be able to do the same. Alyssa would not be able to do the same thing as Leo, right? Alyssa would be forced to respect certain frames that other characters aren't forced to respect. Like for instance, right? I just did a 12 frame mid. That's Alyssa's fastest mid she can do, and I eat the power crush option right here. Like if I try to down forward one, she doesn't have a down forward one with enough recovery to throw out and then recover and then punish the power crush, because power crushes are 1 frame faster in this game than they were in Tekken 7, right? So her best option was she could throw out a jab and then duck afterwards, right? But then here's the problem. Jabbing actually leaves her vulnerable to this mix-up, right? See? I jab, I get punished, right? Or even worse, worst case scenario, if they do think you're gonna respond with a jab, boom, you get high crushed in 2 different options, right? See? So these are all situations you gotta consider if you're giving someone advice on how to deal with a specific matchup, because what may work for one character may not work for another character, right? And I'm showing you guys this as an example why I don't think people should be paying for coaching, because most people in the Tekken community are elitist to their characters. They can't see the lens of the game outside their own character's perspective. They spread a bunch of misinformation, or 4, they don't have much matchup knowledge to be dealing with every character in the game to be even offering coaching. And 5, some of these people are hard stuck at certain ranks, but they still want to give you coaching. Like, it's okay to be hard stuck at like God 1 or God 2, right? But being hard stuck at like, let's say Tekken Emperor or Tekken God, and you're trying to coach people, that's kind of, no disrespect to any Tekken content creators or anything, but respectfully, you might not be in a position where you should be offering coaching to much other players, right? Now, if you're someone that can like play like one character really well, and you're still able to see the lens of the game outside of your main character's perspective and offer good advice to other people, sure, you can coach, but there's not that many people like that in the Tekken content field. Yes, there's pro players, but a lot of these pro players are too busy trying to win tournaments to even coach you to begin with. So in my recommendation, if you are going to try and get coaching, try and see if what you want can be fixed without needing coaching. If you can just consume free content on YouTube and just go about it that way in order to get better. And if you are going to get coached, I could recommend someone like Blackheart. I could recommend someone like myself, because I'm not going to charge you money. I play the majority of the characters in this game, so I can actually give you information on other aspects. I pretty much play every character, well, except for Leroy, Reyna, and Falcon Rom, but you know, that's besides the point. I can still understand and the lens of the game through their experience as well too, right? And, you know, I can offer solutions and stuff like that. So that's pretty much it for the end of my video. This is kind of more so a rant. If you guys do want to pay for coaching, make sure you listen to the stuff I said in this video. And I don't want anybody getting led astray by people spreading misinformation about the game in general. If you are going to get coaching, before you get coaching, please do your research on the person you're getting coaching from first, because there's a lot of frauds in this Tekken community. And when they spread all this misinformation, it makes it a lot harder for people to get better at the game. And it makes the community toxic, because a lot of these people will say, like, for instance, a lot of these Mishima players will say, like, they'll act like elitists, and these Brian players will act like elitists and be like, if you're not playing Mishima or you're not playing Brian, you're not playing a real Tekken character. All the other Tekken characters are scrubby. Like, there's people that will legitimately think Arslan Ash, they legitimately think he's a scrub because he's not playing and winning tournaments with Mishimas, or he's not playing like Lee in tournament, or he's not playing Brian in tournament, or he's not doing this, right? When in reality, like, when you're at the highest level of Tekken, you're fighting the person piloting, not the character. there's people that are saying stuff like this, but they're still at the low level layers of Tekken where they didn't even get a chance to play Tekken. They're still operating at the layer where they're fighting the character. They haven't made it high enough to the point where they can actually start fighting the person piloting the character rather than just the character themselves, right? So that's pretty much it for the end of the video. If you found anything I said in this video useful, like, comment, subscribe, sub to my channel. I do free coaching. If anybody's interested in getting coached for free, right, for free, for me to look at your replays and stuff, just drop your Tekken ID in the comment section below, or drop your Tekken username, preferably. Make sure your Tekken username is spelled right. Follow me on Twitch. I got a Discord if you guys want to keep in touch or have some conversations going and whatnot. And this video is by no means a diss video to anybody in the Tekken content creation field or anything like that. This is just my personal opinion. You can decide whether or not I'm right or wrong about what I have to say in the video. And I hope everyone has a good day, and I'm going to go back to watching EWC.